We're going to take you through the step-by-step procedure to put together our famous eggs beta. This is one of our most popular dishes at Mildred's Temple Kitchen, and we are sharing all the secrets with you today so you can prepare this dish sumptuously, velvety, deliciously, perfectly for that special someone in your life. So, before we get started, let's just check out all the ingredients that you're going to receive in your box today. Half a dozen eggs, 2 for the béarnaise sauce, 4 for poaching, 2 eggs each. We've got some clarified butter, we've got smoked salmon, fresh baked croissants. We also have some Dijon mustard and a beautiful tarragon wine shallot reduction, which is going to build up the flavors of the béarnaise sauce. Everything has been perfectly measured and put together for you, so all you have to do is cook this dish. And there are 2 very important steps: making the béarnaise and poaching the perfect egg. The rest of it comes together beautifully, and I will also show you how to put your dish together on the plate for perfection. The secret to every great chef is organization, tools, mise en place, planning ahead. So hopefully you've pulled out all your good dishes, your linen, your silver, you've got your breakfast tray all set up, you've ordered the flowers. Now you're going to get your tools together to put your dish together. And we've got, as I said, we've got the ingredients all ready for you. So we don't need a lot of tools. That's the good news for this particular recipe with poaching eggs and making béarnaise sauce. But the first thing you do want to make is the béarnaise sauce, and for that you're going to need a stainless steel bowl, but you could use glass. I prefer stainless, but glass will work. And you also need a pot for boiling some water, where we're going to put the bowl over the boiling water, or the warm water. It won't be boiling at that point. And we're going to mix this together. Mix it together with what? Whisks. Not all whisks were created equal, as you can see, but I'm going to use a balloon whisk. It's a bit finer, it's a bit bigger, it's going to put a lot of air into this dish, and it's just going to be so velvety and wonderful. Now, if you wanted to, you could make this in your Cuisinart, or you could use it with a handheld immersion blender. Yeah, you could, any kind of thing that spins around really fast, you could probably make this dish. But we're going to do the classic method today, the classic French method for making an emulsified sauce. So, I'm going to meet you at the stove. All right, on to béarnaise sauce. So as I mentioned, we don't need a lot of equipment. We need a pot, and we need a couple of inches of water in it. I've started this onto the boil already. We need a stainless steel or a glass bowl that will sit in the pot without sitting too wide on the pots. They kind of, kind of like a marriage. They want to fit well together. Any kind of relationship. And we've also got our egg yolks. So we're just using the yolks for this recipe. We don't use the entire egg. I've also got the clarified butter, which I put on the stove to melt, so it's actually quite warm now, and you want it to be quite warm. You don't want it to be room temperature, you'd like it to be warmer than that. You can also pop it into the microwave if that works for you as well. Now we're going to put it all together. At this point, I am going to turn the gas off, particularly if you have a gas range, because the flames are going to shoot up, and where the bowl hangs over the pot, this is going to get very hot, and it's going to end up scrambling your eggs. So let me turn this thing off. And the object of the béarnaise sauce is not to scramble the eggs. So let's start by adding the white wine shallot reduction. You can hear the sizzle already because the pan is pretty hot. Now I'm going to add the eggs to that. Egg yolks. This is where we've got to, put a little love into this dish. We need some muscle at this point. There's enough residual heat now with the water that's been simmering or boiling in the pot that we can start to warm these eggs up and create some volume. Starting to get nice and fluffy. You can see why I like to use the balloon whisk. It's going to put a lot of air. So we're getting this great froth. Really get in there. Use the whole arm when you're whisking, you know, not just from the wrist, but the whole arm. Get your muscle in there. Now, I already like the texture. You can see it's building volume because there's just the right amount of heat. So now we're going to introduce the clarified butter. Not all at once. The reason we're going to add it in slowly at this point in the beginning is because we want to temper those eggs, just so. We put it in all at once. Again, we run the risk of scrambling the eggs, and we have to change up the dish from poached to scrambled eggs. I'm also going to add a little bit of mustard, grainy mustard at this point. Keep whisking and adding the butter. This isn't the kind of dish that you walk away from. You've got to stand on guard. But what I would recommend you do is you have your pot boiling for your poached eggs. Look at how fluffy it's getting already. Whoa. Good workout too. I'm going to add some more clarified butter. You can add a little more aggressively at this point because the eggs have warmed up nicely without cooking. See, the texture is really coming together. This is what is called in classic French cooking an emulsified sauce. And you know, if you're happy with consistency, you don't have to put in all the butter. Certainly pop it back in the fridge, use it for something else. Now at this point, if I had too much heat on the sauce, I would run the risk of it splitting. And if it splits, you can bring it back together. And you would just use some of the water that you've got simmering, that's nice and hot. Just put a couple of little drops in there, give it a good whisk, and then pull it back together. But I would say, for my liking, this sauce is perfect, and it is ready for those delicious, velvety poached eggs that are coming up next. All right, sauce is ready to go. Just keep it on the back of the stove in a warm spot. Give it a little whisk every now and then, just lighten it up, refresh it. But you want to serve it warm, but you can't really reheat it, so you're really sensitive to that. So pay close attention. Next, we're going to poach some eggs. Now we're ready to poach the perfect egg. I like my eggs very softly poached, and I like that yolk to run out and mix in with the béarnaise sauce and then soak it all up in the croissant. So, but you of course can poach your egg to any doneness that you like. Now we need a big pot of boiling water, and I add a little bit of, you can put lemon juice, I'm using white wine vinegar, a splash, a little splash, some salt, a splash. Get it boiling up. The trick to poaching eggs, of course, is maintaining the temperature of the water. Get a little swirl going in there. I'm going to turn the heat down just a bit on this mega flame. Whoa, there it's going the wrong direction. There we go, just a bit. But as I add eggs to this, of course, it's going to drop the temperature, so you don't want to turn it down too much. Now here's a great trick. I see a lot of people poaching eggs. They crack the egg on the side of the pot, they drop it in and splashes into the water. We want to gently add the egg into the water and actually let the white start to cook a little bit before we let the whole thing go in. So there's one. And now number two. Cook all 4 eggs. You could certainly get 2 cups going if that is your preference. Again, in we go. Drop it in. Now eventually you'll see these eggs cooking through on the yolk, and then you'll know when it's the perfect time to take them out for you. I'm going to pull a little bit of this off the white and off the top. While these are cooking, go back and take a look at your sauce. This is when you want to add your fresh chopped tarragon into the sauce. You don't want to introduce it too soon because it will discolor and bruise. So this is the perfect time to do it while your eggs are cooking. And you can also check on your sauce, make sure you're happy with the consistency. If you feel it's gotten a little too thick, again, you could just put a couple of drops of water in it and bring it back to the consistency that you prefer. But for me, this is perfect. How are our eggs doing? I think they need a little more heat. Just turn it up a little bit. Now, when you go to pull your eggs out, whoop, there it is. You're not going to put them immediately onto the croissant. Get a plate, keep it off to the side. You're going to need a slotted spoon, and we're going to pull these poached eggs out of the water. Keep them on the plate, let them a bit of the residual water run off, and then we're going to be able to put them onto the croissant, and they won't saturate or So let's just go in there and take a look. Let's see. Not quite ready, unless you want them super duper runny. Keep pulling some of this stuff off the top. So imagine you're doing this for 500 people on a Sunday brunch. Show some love to the cook on the egg station the next time you go out for brunch in any restaurant around the world.
These guys have a tough job turning all these eggs, but we do it and we do it well.
Okay. Don't forget, you've put them all in slightly different times, so try to keep track of the eggs. These 2 went in first, these 2 went in last, so these guys will come out first. Now you should also have at this point your croissant cut in half, open it up. You can lay the smoked salmon on it and pop it into the oven on a sheet pan to warm it up a bit, to get the butter melting in the croissant. You want everything at the right temperature when you take it to the plate. And that's a tricky part of any cooking, is getting everything to the plate with the perfect timing and perfect temperature. But this is a great dish to start with that exercise because you've got got a few things going on here. I think it's time to pull our poached eggs. Clean up my spoon. Got a dry towel, and the reason I'm using a slotted spoon is I want to tap that excess moisture off before I put it on the tray. So let's go in and pull one of these out. Like that. Now, keep in mind, these eggs are hot and there will be carryover cooking. So even though you've pulled them out of the water, they are going to continue to cook. Like anything that you're cooking, roasting, grilling, take it off a little bit sooner, because from the time you get it off the grill and you get it onto the plate, it will have continued to cook. This one, you can see it was the last one, so the yolk is still needs a little more time. So while that is cooking, I'm going to keep an eye on the sauce. It has started to get a little bit thicker, so I'm going to put just a couple little drops of water in here. Just a bit, like really eyedropper drops. And there it goes, bringing back gorgeous sheen and just the right consistency. Taste it too. You know what? Chances are it might need a little bit of salt. So there we have our perfect poached eggs. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It looks weird. This is it, the moment you've all been waiting for. We're gonna put the dish together and off it goes. So I've warmed up the saw and the smoked salmon. Just gonna put these on the plate. I've chosen this beautiful bowl, which by the way, you can buy at West Elm, our neighbors to the west of us. That's the bottom. Gently, eggs go down. It's a little slippery little fellow, so place them gently. I'm going to give this our sauce. Looks beautiful. It's held up beautifully. Give it a little whisk. I tasted it just a moment ago and it's divine. Okay, whisk, you stay over here. Putting it together. So I want to nap this sauce right over the eggs. And I like to be very generous with this sauce because you've got this big, beautiful, buttery croissant. It's going to soak up all the sauce, and when you break the yolks, it's going to just add another layer of flavor and texture to your dish. The top goes on. Make sure you can peek out just a little bit, like so. Now a little bit of salad. So you've also got salad greens and some dressing in your kit. Give it a shake. You don't have to use the whole thing. You can always keep some in the fridge. Don't overdress your salad though. I find people tend to get a little carried away with the dressing. We just want just enough to spark up the greens a bit. A little bit of salt. Use your tongs. Gently toss. There's something about tossing a salad in a stainless steel bowl. It's some sort of magic that takes place. Let's do it. Don't ask questions. And now down it goes. Just enough. We don't want to overpower this dish. You could put a little extra garnish on it if you wanted. It's entirely your call.